From historic WHAS 11 Studio H, where in just 40 days we'll bring you the 64th annual WHAS Crusade for Children, we welcome you to Moral Side of the News. I'm John Blim with the Crusade for Children. Our panel is ready. We have topics, so let's get started. On this week's program, the Trump administration says the time of strategic patience is over when dealing with North Korea and its nuclear missile program. Plus, a murderer posts his crime on Facebook, where it remains for several hours. Facebook's founder responds. We'll discuss these topics with our distinguished panel here on this edition of Moral Side of the News. With us today are Dr. John Slider from Breckenridge Chapel, Free Methodist, Dr. Marion Taylor from the Presbyterian Church USA, Father Tony Smith, St. Lawrence Catholic Church, Rabbi Emeritus Stan Miles, Temple Shalom, and Dr. Charles Burton, Second Baptist, Taylorsville. Up first on this edition of Moral Side of the News, this week, tensions continued on the North Korean, make that the Korean Peninsula. North Korea's dictator remains defiant after a failed missile test. As ABC's Megan Hughes reports, Vice President Mike Pence says the time for strategic patience is over.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe telling Vice President Mike Pence this morning he's pleased to hear all options are on the table when it comes to North Korea.
The era of strategic patience is over.
Pence repeating his pledge to shift from the Obama-era strategy.
As you know, the United States knows peace comes through strength.
President Trump telling Fox News he would not rule out a preemptive military strike.
We'll see what happens. I hope there's going to be peace. But, you know, they've been talking with this gentleman for a long time.
As to whether a U.S. cyber attack helped foil North Korea's weekend missile launch, Trump wouldn't comment. But he did share his strategy to lean on China, and that friendship with President Xi brokered at Mar-a-Lago.
China's trying to help us. I don't know if they're going to be able to or not. But would I want to start heavy trade or currency manipulation statements against somebody that's out there right now trying to stop what could be a very bad situation?
How big is the threat? While officials say Saturday's missile flew just 34 miles before spinning out of control, North Korea is developing a missile that could travel over 2,000 miles within range of Guam, and even longer range missiles. One of them could be capable of traveling over 7,000 miles, able to hit the U.S. mainland. As for North Korea's response to the tough talk of the Trump administration,
the DPRK is ready to react to any mode of war desired by the American.
North Korea is certainly not backing down. The country's vice foreign minister is now declaring there could be weekly missile tests. Megan Hughes, ABC News, Washington.
We turn now to our panel on this edition of Moral Side of the News. And panel, what are your thoughts on this harder approach to dealing with North Korea?
I actually like what the Trump administration is doing in this case, working with, making a relationship with China and then working through China to hopefully defuse this situation in North Korea. As far as the tests go, I thought that there was a test ban treaty signed in 1963, I believe, but I don't know whether North Korea was party to that particular treaty or not. But I think that the administration is following the correct path in this case of making a relationship with the Chinese and using the good offices of the Chinese government to deal with the North Koreans.
I agree. I think that that's a wise approach, and I thought it was interesting that President Trump even laid it out that he'll back off on other issues he wants to negotiate with China if he sees progress from China on this one. But I do also hope that, at least behind the scenes, the South Koreans are every bit as much a partner in the discussion as the Chinese. They have so much at stake. They must be. They have everything at stake. They've had strategic patience going on for longer than we have and with much greater cost to themselves. Yeah. So we really must treat them as partners in this.
Yeah, I would say South Korea probably has strategic anxiety. And I do like the way President Trump has sort of prioritized the issues involved in our complex relationship with China. The obvious one at the front burner is this North Korea situation. Stan, I come at this from a lot more ignorance than you, which is very difficult to do. But the test ban treaty, I'm sure, and I'm joking, of course, but we go back a long way. The test ban treaty, I think, was on the nuclear weapons. They're testing missiles.
Okay.
The carrier.
Yes.
And again, I confess my ignorance on that, but you know, in a couple of months, they will probably, if they do one a week, they probably depleted their number of missiles. So let them keep testing. I like this engagement that the Trump administration is doing, and I think other events around the world have helped sell the seriousness with which the Trump administration has approached North Korea.
Charles?
I think it's good to use an emissary in between. I think it keeps America out of the direct fray. I guess when I start looking at other issues that are going around, to me it becomes very frightening in terms of whether or not we're going to have some battles on several different fronts. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, in the past, America's economy has always been a war economy. And that's frightening.
My thoughts are both positive and negative. And there you go. How's that sitting on the fence? I do appreciate at least the impression that's being given that they're involving the neighbors in that community, and that side of the world to kind of help resolve this. That has to be important. Although I do have difficulties with phrases like peace through strength. I would submit to you it's never in the history of mankind ever happened. Stalemate is not peace. It depends on how you define peace. Also, there is, since we're talking in regards to nuclear possibilities, weaponry, whatever, treaties notwithstanding, treaties come and go. But I think there's still that bit of hubris that has to be addressed when a country who has nuclear weapons tells another country that they can't have them. You know, what are we doing? In other words, if we see such nuclear proliferation as an evil, what are we doing in our own backyard to kind of prohibit such? So am I favoring what's going on? I'm trying to see the good in what's happening. And there's possible good that can come about, especially if China, Japan, Korea's, and the neighborhood of the Orient there get together and in some way, somehow, not through force, but bring a resolution to this conflict. I would be very happy. But again, always in the back of my little beady mind is that whole thing of the hubris again of what gives us the right, whether it's President Trump, President Obama, whoever it may be in the White House, to say to another country, whether it's Korea or Iran, no, you cannot.
Well, I think President Trump this week as well asked the military to take inventory of what we have, to see what we have as kind of a show of force through strength,
and
perhaps. Force,
again, what is from the Christian scriptures, other scriptures, those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. So if we're looking at nuclear weapons and show of strength, there's always going to be someone who will come along eventually who's going to be stronger than ourselves, have more weapons, etc.
I can't help but wonder also why the North Koreans don't exercise strategic patience. What's in it for them to keep constantly drawing this crisis attention to themselves? Typically, when a nation behaves that way or when its leaders behave that way, they're trying to unite their own people. So my guess is, you know, maybe the leader feels that the only way he can make sure his people are behind him is by rattling his sword. But I do hope that we've got good analysts, I'm sure we do, trying to figure out what's at stake for him in this, because it's in the end his rationale and his motivations that we've got to address.
Well, and that assumes, of course, that there is a rational and moral adversary, that they're just trying to whip up support. I would suggest that an option for us viewing North Korea and one of our reasons, moral reasons, for saying we need the nukes and they shouldn't have it, is that it will sound simplistic, and Tony, you can jump all over it, but
I will.
We're the good guys.
Exactly.
And it's a relative evaluation, I realize.
Absolutely, it is.
And I would say also that in relations between nations historically, peace through weakness has only meant one thing, and that's getting conquered. Peace through strength, and I'm sorry, there is not a moral equivalency between North Korea and the United States.
No one's arguing such.
Okay.
But at the same time, again, show me in any situation of history where peace through strength. The Roman Empire was based upon oppression. Every empire that you can see, that there was a time Pax Romana and all this other good stuff, it's not based upon a Judeo-Christian concept of peace. It's just simply stalemate until someone stronger comes along.
It's not a perfect system. But.
Exactly. And the whole thing, you're correct, it is a relativistic morality basis.
Yeah, I'm not saying
we're the good guys.
I'm not saying when I say we're the good guys, I'm not saying we're the perfect guys. And excuse my masculinity, my reference there.
Perfect people.
We're the good people.
Well, we happen to be the people, to use the terminology, in control at the present time.
If I were to choose which nation I wanted to have a nuclear weapon, I would choose the United States over North Korea.
I think the big problem here is this guy, we can't figure him out. I mean, we can't figure out Kim Jong-un.
Unpredictable.
Remember a few years ago when they were bringing out a silly comedy movie, and all of a sudden Sony found their entire computer system to be compromised and hacked all over the We are not dealing with a normal and rational personality here, folks.
And his good friend Dennis Rodman, as I remember too. Remember that a few years ago?
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
There you go. Let's move on to our second topic on this edition of Moral Side of the News. The man who posted a murder on Facebook and triggered a nationwide manhunt, that is, took his own life this week. Steve Stevens left many questions in the wake of his death, and ABC's Carolyn McGregory has more.
A social media expert says people love other people and are just so fascinated with their lives, which is why he says so many people viewed that Facebook murder. He says others are just desensitized.
I really wish I hadn't clicked on it. Fortunately, I did, but it's a sad case. I mean, I feel bad for the guy's family.
The murder of this 74-year-old grandfather viewed and shared for hours before Facebook acted.
There is a demographic of people who really sadly want that content and want to share it.
Mark Vasquez with Kansas City's Social Media Club says Facebook needs stronger monitoring.
The problem, too, is that we live in a world where hoaxes and pranks are happening as well. So you have to walk the line of saying, is this something that is really legitimately happening?
Our hearts go out to the family and
Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's CEO, at a conference says they have a long way to go.
We have a lot of work, and we will keep doing all we can to prevent tragedies like this from happening.
Vasquez says so do social media users.
If you see some sort of content that you think is not right or is something that is obscure, that shouldn't be out there, it's definitely a good idea to report it.
ABC's Carolyn McGregory reporting. Our panel now. Panel, your thoughts on Facebook's obligation here, not only to all of us, but maybe to the family of Robert Goodwin and Stephen, who was Stephen Stevens' apparent victim in this whole tragedy.
It's just, it was bound to happen, and it's so sad that it happened in the way that it did.
You thought it would be coming someday?
Yeah, I don't like social media. I don't look at social media, and I don't see the sense of social media. To me, it seems to be so terribly intrusive, and in this case, promoting the worst possible behaviors that any person could do. I'm afraid to say the C word, control, but I don't think it's the responsibility of the government to control this, but I think it's definitely the responsibility of the Facebook corporation and so on to keep this from happening, to when they see something of this nature coming out, to just end it, just cut it off?
I'm wondering whether or not that's a possibility, Stan. Pandora's box has been opened. We refer to it many phrases, social media. If Zuckerberg or whatever his name is there, and the folks were to clamp down, someone else is going to. You heard, I think, the moral issue for myself. You heard the gentleman say there are people out there who want this content, and they'll find a way of putting it out there. My thought in regards to the whole thing of social media, whatever, like whether you accept it or not, it's here. It's impacting us. It is the future, and I would say
not going away.
Not going away. And I would say, in regards to the last conversation we had about even the nuclear options, here is a more important weapon than even nuclear. This weapon can control the dispensing of nuclear weapons. Whoever controls communication, we see already in the present administration the phrases false facts, things of this nature, alternative facts, things of this nature. It all deals with the weaponized communication. And again, the point is, once something is put out there, you can try to control it all you want. It's out there, and you can't pull it back. So the moral issue for myself is, yes, the more use of media is extremely important. But as far as controlling it and all that good stuff, as long as human nature being human nature, there will be people who love, I hate to use that terminology, to see other people suffer. It's going to be part of nature.
I think part of the issue with Facebook was that they took so long before they took it down. There was, I think it was on for what, 3-4 hours?
2 to 3 hours at least.
2 to 3 hours before they took it down. I guess part of one question that comes to mind, how soon were they notified of it? That's an issue. It's a question that I don't have an answer for. But with all of the, before something can be posted, they can control that, but it has to go through some
filter.
And I think that's one way that they might be able to address that issue. It is tragic, it is unfortunate that it was there, but it's not the first time that it's something that's been on it. We saw the shooting of a man by a police officer that was posted.
Well, hundreds of hours are posted every minute on social media, and I don't know how they can keep track of everything that's there.
Well, if you go through, I think if they slow, and they enjoy this instantaneous. Unfortunately, we live in an instantaneous world. We want everything instant. But I do think that perhaps they need to go through a filter before it can be posted. That would be one way to keep some of that stuff from going on.
Kind of like a delay.
Yeah, a delay.
3-minute delay.
Yeah. So yes, exactly, something like that.
One of the things that I've been thinking a lot lately about personal responsibility and that mature humans we have to learn to acknowledge our errors. That's the starting point for asking God to help to transform us. This is one of the deep insights of AA, for instance, to own yourself. And so Mark Zuckerberg has modeled the opposite of what the murderer modeled, which is taking some ownership and saying, we need to fix this. The man who committed the murder was blaming his wife or girlfriend, a figure in his life, for everything he was doing. And we often see this in domestic violence situations where the person who's perpetrating a crime is blaming someone else. This is a very deep problem in humankind. It's in the story of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
The minute Eve is caught making a mistake, she blames the serpent. As soon as Adam is caught out, he blames his wife and God. He says, the woman that you gave me caused me to do this. So the blame game is so deeply ingrained. In the Christian tradition, we speak of Jesus as the new Adam because he behaved so differently from that. He faced temptation and didn't give way to the temptation. He modeled, he stood in front of the person who was going to execute him and didn't waver from who he truly was. His authenticity was so great. So he models, in a sense, the opposite of what we so often wrestle with in ourselves, which is this desire to blame someone else, for the pain and the badness that is within us.
So social media enhancing this deep-rooted problem? It makes it easier to blame?
I'm not sure. It may be that we'll all be able to hold each other more accountable too, you know.
Well, I think there's one issue that we've not looked at, has not been looked at it specifically at this individual, and I was talking to someone the other day, and it was real. From what I can gather, from what I'm hearing, this individual, Mr. Stevens, had a serious
gambling addiction?
Well, they're talking about gambling, but I'm not dealing with that mental health issue. And the second time that's come up this week. Even within the church, you know, we don't even deal with it. Years ago, there was a professor at the University of Louisville and taught at Southern Seminary, Wayne Oates. He had a book entitled Behind, I think it was a book entitled Behind the Mask, in which he talks about a lot of things that people do. We blame it on this, we blame it on that, but we don't deal with the issue, the underlying issue. We say, oh, they're so unchristian. Christianity has nothing to do with it at that point. It's a mental issue. And I don't think that in this country we really address the issue of mental illness.
Well, it seems to be quite often, I apologize if I interrupted, that we play that card too often. They did this, the person did this act, therefore they must be, we even did it with the leader of North Korea. You know, to me, and Stan, you were having a hard time using the word control. Somebody got to, but I think you started us in the right direction and saying the word responsibility. With every moral right that we have, we need to balance it with a moral responsibility. And if the actor does not take responsibility, someone does, some entity does. Now, you know, to me, the difficulty arises in our society, and I'm going to get on my preacher box here, has said, well,
I'll step
morality,
off of it so to create room for you.
Yeah, you read the scripture. Morality is all about me, my feelings, my perspective, me being heard. And when morality becomes more and more ingrained in us as a subjective thing, then we begin to lose this sense of responsibility.
Me, not we.
Yes. Yeah, I think I caught what you said there.
Me, not we.
Yeah.
I actually agree with both of you, because I do think that people play the mental health card a bit too often and too easily, but I also think the churches need to understand genuine mental illness in a way that we do not. And we need to stop stigmatizing it. We need a society that has realistic options for treatment for people who are running amok and need help.
And there are some of the local health institutions, I get them in the mail constantly, are having seminars and online webinars and whatever, dealing with this very issue of mental illness and how you can recognize it in your congregation and what you should or how you can refer, et cetera. So I think the issue, it's out there, and people are trying to deal with it. Yes, I think it's both and.
Let me say this too. I think that in seminary training, they train ministers. I think train them very well, but there's very little training given in addressing the issues of mental illness. Oh, but we had a course in pastoral care, but we never talk about it.
Right.
Well, my way of dealing with mental illness in the pastoral setting is I give them 3 shots, I'll deal with the spiritual issue, and then I get them to the professional. You know,
to be able to recognize.
It's the same way I treat appendicitis. You know,
I think Tony answered the question though best. You know, especially in counseling situations over the course of the years, I'm listening to someone in my study and they're pouring their heart out or they're talking about a particular situation, and there will be a point in time, many times, that I will say to that person, my heart goes out to you, but rather than give you incorrect advice, I prefer to say to you at this point that our conversation, we're concluding, but I still have a responsibility to you, and my responsibility is to advise you to talk to so-and-so, because they're the expert in this situation and they will help you, And from my experience, I believe that they will give you the advice that you need to deal with this situation best.
Okay, can we end this program on a happy note today?
Sure.
Why
The
not?
Boston Marathon, the closing moments of this year's Boston Marathon is capturing the hearts of many. Earl Granville, a 9-year veteran in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, carried a woman and the American flag that is across the finish line. Granville, who lost part of his leg when his vehicle was hit by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan, had competed in several marathons since his recovery, and he carried his friend and marathon guide Andy Piscopo across the finish line. The video has gone viral, and it's quite a story. Panel, good news here to report. What's your reaction, your thoughts? We've got a few minutes left.
After what happened at the Boston Marathon several years ago, to see this image at this particular marathon does give a message of cooperation between human beings and absolute hope.
Let me get my opinion in here so Tony can disagree with it. I thought it was a warm, moving exhibition. Apparently the gentleman was thanking, a way of giving thanks or raising his hero up, the person who has helped him. So, yay.
Since I'm in part of the Christian resurrection scene right now, hallelujah.
Oh, okay.
We got a few minutes left. Other thoughts on that, or things that have happened like that? The good news.
I think that it says that in all around us there is some good, even in the worst of it.
There's still hope.
Yeah.
It was interesting that the person who was being helped his helper. That relationship.
His coach
goes
and
both
guide
ways.
was being helped by the player, so to speak.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mutual coaching. It's something I've been hearing about lately, where people are both the helper and the helped, and it's a good model.
It goes again to the we, as opposed to the me.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's our program for this edition of Moral Side of the News. I want to thank our panel, John Slider. I'm going to go through this really slowly because we have a few minutes left. Marion Taylor, Tony Smith, Stan Miles, and Charles Burton. When we leave you today, though, we want to leave you with video and a visit with April, the giraffe that was born this past week. Finally born after weeks and weeks of people watching worldwide online. So we'll leave you with that thought. We thank you, as always, for watching and listening to Moral Side of the News. You can watch this program again anytime at WHAS11.com. And this week, as you watch the giraffe or learn more about the baby giraffe, you can also learn more about the Crusade for Children at WHAScrusade.org and see how you can help change a child's life. So until next time on this very same channel or station, we'll see you then for another edition of Moral Side of the News. Thanks and make it a great day.